Welcome back to Finch Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. My name is Kevin DeBrita, and if you caught my first video, you noticed that we're sitting in the Cadillac XT6, and we got cut off right about the time I was talking about the parking brake. So I'm going to follow up from there, or take over from there, I should say. So we do have our electronic parking brake, very simple, push to set, push to release. Also note that the parking brake may activate itself if you're on an incline automatically, and the way to deactivate that is to either press the parking button or simply put the vehicle into drive or reverse, tap the gas, and that will release your parking brake. Beside that, we've got your dash lights, so that's going to be your instrumentation panel here, as well as across on the main display. At nighttime, you can turn up the intensity of that display, and you can turn it down. And then in behind here is our 3 controls for our heads-up display. So we have our position, our information, and our brightness. If you're not familiar with heads-up display, you can see right now we're looking at the heads-up display in the front window, and I'm moving those position buttons. I want to make sure all 4 corners are in your display so you can see, and that will mean your heads-up display is in the proper position for you as a driver. Information, we can change what we want as far as information. So we've got our tachometer there, our speedometer. You can get, I believe, the music that you're listening to as well. And the very last one will be intensity. So if you find that it's too bright, you can dim it down, especially at nighttime, or you can have it completely off. And I'm just pushing that button to turn it back on so it's up there for the next driver. There we are. So that is your heads-up display. Moving over to the steering wheel, we'll touch base on some of the features on the steering wheel. Just a little note, these carbon fiber accents are beautiful, aren't they? Real carbon fiber they use inside the Cadillac XT6, and it really makes a difference with the way the vehicle feels when you get inside of it. On the left-hand side of the steering wheel, we have our heated steering wheel, simple on-off button. Our forward collision alert. And so this is our gap adjustment, or for the forward collision alert, it's going to change the amount of warning that you get. Because this vehicle has heads-up display, you'll have flashing red lights that will show up in your heads-up display should you get too close to the vehicle in front of you. Also, we have the safety alert seat, so your seat will vibrate in the event the vehicle in front of you slams on their brakes or slows down a lot faster than you do. Make sure we've got that to the largest gap adjustment. That's generally where I'll leave it, unless you find that you're getting too many false alarms, then you can shorten those gaps. Cruise control, we have our cruise on and cruise off. And you'll notice right beside the 0 there that your light illuminates. So that means we can activate cruise, and simple set to go down and resume is up. Cancel button is on the side. While you're using this switch, you'll notice that it's kind of got 2 little positions. So there's your first click, second click. First click, second click. The double click feature brings you to the nearest 5. So if you're slowing down from 120, 115, 110, and speeding up would be 100, 105, 110, and very easy to quickly adjust your speed as you're going up and down, either through construction zones or from back roads into rural cities. Phone buttons here, we've got your voice activation, or to answer your phone. And then on this side here is to hang up, or your mute button. While we're talking about voice activation, a simple press of this button will activate the voice activation of the vehicle. If you hold this button, it will then activate the voice recognition software from your cell phone. So you have 2 different voice systems that you can use. A simple press to activate the voice recognition in the vehicle, and a hold to activate the voice recognition in your phone. For Apple, you're going to have your Siri turned on, and for Google devices, you're going to want to make sure that you've got your Google Assistant set, so that when you do push this button on the very first time, take a look at your phone, and then it'll ask you whether you want to use your Google Assistant. Click yes and always, and then it will always work for you. So really fantastic feature, being able to connect through your phone. On the opposite side of the steering wheel, over here we've got our volume controls, our presets, so we can move up and down through our radio stations. And then this is going to control your driver information center, which I'm looking at right now. And try and get back so we can kind of get a little bit of everything here. I'm going to go all the way back to the home screen. We have our little I button that popped up. and that's our information menu. And I'm just going to roll down. We can see our off-road mode, a blank page, trip odometers, fuel range, oil life, tire pressures, and air filter life. So that's all in your information menu, and I'm just kind of scrolling through on this wheel. If I go over to the next, this is the radio station that we're listening to. Then we have our compass, our telephone when connected, and the last one is your settings. So this is where you'd switch from miles to kilometers. Open up that menu. If I wanted to click miles, I would just click down, and we are now in miles. We've also moved our temperature over to Fahrenheit. And I'm going to go back to metric so we don't get any speeding tickets, and move back. So information pages, those pages we looked at earlier, there might be some things that you don't want to see. So for example, if you're never going to look at your fuel economy, you can turn that feature off, and it will then come out of the rotation in that earlier display. Display settings, this is for everything up at the top. So a lot of customers do like their compass displayed, the time of day, as well as fuel range. And so all of those are connected and turned on right now. Speed warning is completely programmable. Right now it's set for 150 kilometers an hour. If we reach that speed, it will ding at you and tell you to slow down. It will allow you to go past that limit, but it will warn you that it's hit the maximum speed that you have programmed. If that's too high, we can go into our settings and we can pick a different speed limit and hit OK. And so now we're at 147 kilometers an hour. Heads-up display, this just allows you to adjust the angle or the rotation. So if it's not quite straight, you can adjust that right here. This one looks pretty good, so I won't change that. And then software information is there for the technicians, not something you'd likely look at yourself, just a bunch of information about licensing and so forth. So that is our driver information center. We've looked at the left side and the right side of the steering wheel. Windshield wipers, pretty self-explanatory. First is going to be our intermittent delay. And the nice thing about intermittent delay, these are automatic sensing wipers. And so on intermittent, the wipers are just going to pass once. I've got them sitting up right now because I need to fill this vehicle full of fuel. But the wipers will pass once, and then they won't pass anymore until the camera up here says that we need to pass the wipers again. So the dirtier the camera gets, the more the wipers will activate themselves. You can change the sensitivity of that right here. And then of course we have our slow movement and our fast movement. So I'm just going to put those wipers back off. On the opposite side here, turn signal, of course, our automatic light control. So you can leave the vehicle in automatic and it will control the lights for you, daytime, nighttime. If you do want to override it, very easy to do. On the very end, this little button here is our automatic headlamps. And so if your automatic high beams, once you have your high beams activated and the automatic turned on, your high beams will turn off and turn off based on the surroundings. So whether it's ample street lights or you are approaching traffic or traffic is approaching you, it will turn them on and off as needed. So that's a quick look at the driver area. I'm going to end this video, and then I will start a second video going through the shifting process as well as the radio. We'll be in touch.